You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to The Lyndia Grant Show. It is Friday, May 2nd. My birthday is coming right up in a few days, May 6th. So it's Taurus season. The weather is pretty good. It's sometimes cool, and sometimes it's just May. Okay, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. I have to take my shawl some days. But we are going to be talking to Dr. Julianne Malvo in a moment, and in our second half, we're talking to singer, songwriter, playwright Ayanna Blake. She is a singing girl, but right now she's got something else she's talking about is her cause, a health conference that she's doing. So, but let's talk to Dr. Julianne and see what's been going on. I haven't been watching the news today, Dr. J. I was off and did not watch. So tell us what's going on, Dr. Julianne Malvo.
Well, Lyndia, Tuesday represented 100 days of this presidency. Mm-hmm. The tradition of 100 days started with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who laid out what he was going to do in his first 100 days. And since then, presidents, sometimes members of Congress, sometimes others, are being asked, what will you do in your first 100 days? Well, in his first 100 days, this president signed, as of Monday, he may have signed some more, 139 executive orders, 39 proclamations, 42 memorandums, a Continuing Appropriations Act, which is being discussed, and I'll get back into that, but also the Lake and Riley Act, which is the act that he's bragged a lot about. This was a young lady who was killed by an undocumented man, and so he used her murder as an excuse to crack down on immigration. But he said he was going to crack down. What he campaigned on was the economy and immigration. Mm-hmm. What he has done in the past 100 days is some of everything. He cutting federal spending, reducing the federal workforce. The thing he's done that many find most objectionable, he's tried to increase executive authority. And he's tried to change foreign policy considerably. I wrote a column about this whole thing. I call it chaos, confusion, and delusion. Mm-hmm. Because that's what we have. It's like, my mom used to say to clumsy people, you're like a bull in a china closet. Yeah. That's right. If you heard that expression, that's what, just break everything. Yeah. It doesn't matter. That's right. So what we have here is world economic instability, not U.S., but world economic instability. But, he's also having a few FAFO moments. He keeps talking about Canada is going to be the 51st state. I mean, you want to laugh when he says stupid things like that. Mm-hmm. But Canada was time enough for him. There was a conservative that was leading in the polls until he started talking all that nonsense. When he started talking about Canada being the 51st state and referring to the prime minister as governor, there are two things that happened. Number one, our tourism from Canada has gone down. Mm-hmm. Canada won't have anything to do with us. And if you go to a liquor store in certain parts of Canada, they've gotten rid of their Kentucky liquor, their Kentucky bourbon, which used to be very popular over there. So they've gotten rid of it. They've had enough. But this how sweet it is moment is that Mark Carney, he's a banker, but he is a leader of the Liberal Party, and he won. The poll said he couldn't win. He won, and the reason he won is reaction to our current president. Mm-hmm. People in Canada simply cannot stand him. He described on his victory, what's happening between the United States and Canada as a great American betrayal.
Yeah, I heard that. Mm-hmm.
The president, meanwhile, he's delusional. So he's in Michigan. He was in Warren, Michigan on Tuesday. And he went to Michigan because, of course, he won Michigan. And the auto workers, of course, have done a really great job of boosting him up, even though he has tariffs on automobiles and everything else. He has a billboard that says 100 days of greatness. That's what I call the delusion. 100 days of greatness. Meanwhile, he campaigned on the economy. prices have not gone down. Grocery prices have not gone down. Inflation is about the same, but it's about to go up with the tariffs are imposed. So there we have it. This has been an insane time in terms of just what he's done. If you look at his executive orders, he could do more on the economy. No, he's got one on the anti-DEI. He's got one that men can't compete in women's sports. That's a dig at the trans community. Again, just nonsense, and lots to object to. So the Michigan rally in Warren is, he likes rallies. He said so. He said he likes rallies. He said he's having fun. He says he rules the United States and he rules the world too. Well, I think that there are going to be some folks who have something to say about that, because no, he does not rule the world.
That's right.
Despite his claims to do so.
And doesn't rule the United States either, quite frankly.
No. People have to start resisting, and people are. Reverend William Barber was arrested on Tuesday for praying in the, or maybe Monday, for praying in the rotunda on the Capitol. He didn't have a permit, so he was arrested. And he said he'll come back and get arrested again if he needs to. Meanwhile, the president keeps saying, well, this is going to be a little bit of pain. Well, define a little bit of pain for me. If you're a single mom and your prices have gone up, there are more Americans now, Lyndia, who are buying their groceries with credit cards. They're buying their groceries on time because they don't have money. Now, some people, I buy mine with my credit card because I just don't keep cash. I just take the card. But many people, that's not what they're doing. They're buying groceries on their credit cards. So the economy is very, very, very unstable. We want to add into these 100 days a number of workers who have been laid off or who don't know what their status is. Laid off one day, then they bring you back. Thousands at the IRS laid off right during tax season. Thousands at Social Security offices being laid off. And now you can't do the Social Security online. You have to go physically to an office. They've closed. I think it's 8 or 9 offices, which means people will have to get in their cars and drive to a Social Security office if they have a car, if they drive. So we're looking at a situation where this is 100 days that he's bragging about. We have to just be clear. He's and bragging, really, quite frankly, outright lying is what he's doing. Is just, not telling the truth. Now, we go through some of the other things that are going on. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. This man doesn't seem to be able to get his communications straight. So he keeps using phones that are not secure phones. Everyone from Leon Panetta, Democrat, to John Bolton, Republican, has said this makes our nation more insecure. Does the president care? I don't think so. Congress, as I said earlier, is starting budget work this week. They're not going to get far, but they will get started. They keep saying they're not going to do anything about they're not going to touch Medicare or Medicaid, but how can they get $2 billion worth of cuts without cutting Medicare and Medicaid? So that also becomes an issue. And our seniors, Lyndia, you and I are among that group. We'll feel it. We'll feel it. He can't keep it straight. So the tariffs are off again, on again. Really, right now they're on, but the China one has not come down. He says he'll negotiate with China, but the thing about he's relaxed some of the tariffs for car makers. If you buy a car, even if they tell you it was made in Detroit, the fact of the matter is some of those parts they have been made anywhere, and what they're doing now is saying, well, you have to pay the tariff on that part, whatever percentage of the car it is. Now he's saying he might relent, but he said they'll modify the tariff to take it down to 25%. Well, 25% of the car costs $50,000. 25% is going to give you another $12,000. This is breaking it down and making it plain. So Hegseth, we talked about Hegseth, talked about Canada. Let's see here.
The Pope's funeral.
Oh yes, gosh, the Pope's
Yeah,
funeral.
you always love the Pope. That's why I mentioned it.
Yes, I do. That was last week, so but you're absolutely right. It was
in between. That was Saturday.
It was beautiful, and of course, your president doesn't know how to act or how to dress. And ask people to wear
only
dark,
one in there in blue,
and not like navy blue. Like,
did he have on a red tie too?
I don't remember what else he had on. I just knew he stood out like a sore thumb. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know what Melania had on. The veil that she had on was kind of all over the place. But, he did have the opportunity to speak to Zelensky afterwards. I hope that does something. He was slightly more stern towards Putin, but not a lot, but slightly more stern toward Putin, because Putin has just been, bombing, just gone crazy on Ukraine. He wants, and Trump has conceded so much before they've even sat down to talk. So he says that Russia can have Crimea. Well, I don't think Ukraine is going to go along with that. That's their country. So there will be continued fighting. Now, the question is whether the United States does anything or not, and many are afraid that we'll walk away from it. But I think there are enough people in Congress, including Republicans, who are not prepared to let Ukraine be taken over by a bully. But I have to say this, I've been saying it for a couple of days. If I didn't know any better, I would think that our president worked for Putin.
I know.
I would think that Putin had him on payroll. Yeah. Just in terms of what we're seeing here. And I mean, I hate to say that, but it just seems to me that he has waived any amount of sovereignty that the United States has. There are many court cases, many court cases, challenges to him firing people, challenges to his attempts to expand executive privilege. He keeps talking about impeaching judges if they don't let him have his way. And a woman judge in Wisconsin was indeed arrested, and she has now been suspended because they allege that she showed an undocumented person an alternate way out of the court. It'll have to be proven, but meanwhile, she, of course, is not operating as a judge anymore. She is on suspension.
Wow. I didn't know that.
It's unfortunate. Pam Bondi, the attorney. Go ahead.
I think we're out of time, but tell us about Pam, and then we can stop.
Well, she is using extra powers that she does not have to go after people. They're going after Act Blue, which, as you know, is a Democratic.
That's where we give our money.
Fundraiser, and they're going after lots of other people. So we have to keep watching her, watching the others. But 100 days of chaos, confusion, and delusion. He still thinks that he won the 2020 election. Let me leave it there.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Julian. We'll be back again next week to talk to you. Now for our commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired." But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. We are approaching our 16th year. We've had some exciting shows, and we work hard to promote this worldwide. So you're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show here on Spirit 1340 WYCB, a Radio 1 station. This week, we're going to have as our second guest someone I met years ago. Her name is Ayanna Blake. She is a wonderful singer. I mean, she's one of those singers like Patti LaBelle and, Diana Ross and Aretha Franklin. This girl can sing, I'm telling you, and I know good singing when I hear. She just didn't choose to go that way, but she sings. She sings. But she's going to talk to us today about something else she's doing called Her Cause, HER Cause Incorporated. And she sang for the African American Civil War Memorial back maybe one of our celebrations. I don't think it was the grand opening in 1998, but it was maybe the 10th year or something. But anyway, I had her come back and she sang. She sang at my church. That's why I know. She sang for another event for the Civil War Memorial for a prayer breakfast. So welcome to today's show, Ayanna Blake. We're so glad to have you here. Talk to us today and share with the listeners inspiration behind Her Cause and what you all are doing these days of health and wellness.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a joy to be in your company and to be in your space. I appreciate you and all that you do for the DMV and beyond. And so I am always so honored to just be close by and to hear
Amen.
Your voice and to talk to you. So thanks so much. Her Cause is my newest baby. Her Cause, we are a 501c3 nonprofit for community charity. Our mission is to provide Black women and other women of color increased access to mental health resources through the arts and humanities, health, wellness, and advocacy. So, yes, I left the arts. I left the stage in my flourishing career on the stage to pursue something that was near and dear to my heart, and that is our women and mental health. And so, all of the years that I spent on stage, I neglected myself. I neglected my own mental health. And as a result, I developed this tool, this resource for other women to not have to spend so much time looking for resources, but they have resources right at their disposal. And so that's how Her Cause was developed. And we are excited to be able to provide resources to BIPOC women.
Okay, so when you were out there, I know I went to some of your shows, and you do a fabulous job. I was looking forward to going to New York and see you on Broadway because you can go now. You can go.
Thank you.
But so you were inspired when you started looking at yourself and how much you were doing to not only take care of you, but to look out for other women who were doing something similar.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so you got a conference coming up?
Yeah. We as Black women, we are the superheroes across the board for everyone, for our households, for those in our workplace. And we leave ourselves to be last. And so, this is something to remind our sisters and our sisters in the Latina community, the Asian community, but focused on Black women, that we have to take care of ourselves. And so, yes, thank you for mentioning we have a conference coming up, and I'm super excited to share that. Our conference, Wellness in Me, Healing Together, Embracing Stories, Strengthening Minds. And that is going to be on Saturday, May 17, 8 to 4 p.m.
And where will it be? Right here in the DMV or out of town?
Yes, in town. Agape Embassy, and that is 5775 Barclay Drive, Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay. Wonderful. So how's registration going? We want to get people out there.
Yes, registration, well, to be very honest, I hate this about our people. We wait till the last minute. And so we are waiting we had an early bird registration, but I am optimistic that folks will jump on board and really start to prioritize their mental health. I have a quote from Michelle Obama, and she talks about, and I love this quote so much. She says, at the root of this dilemma, talking about mental health, is the way we view mental health in this country. When it comes to mental health conditions, we often treat them differently than other diseases like cancer, diabetes, and asthma. And that makes no sense. Whether an illness affects your heart, your leg, or your brain, it's still an illness, and there should be no distinction. And so,
but people often try to act like somebody think you done gone crazy or you flew the coop, and it's all those negative. But you know what I want to say to help you say this? When I was reading a book by Sidney Poitier called what was the name? I can't think of the name of his book that I read, and I lived by that book so much. But he wrote it when he was over in Cat Island, and he talked about how he was married, but he loved Diane Carroll, and she loved him, and they both ended up having to go get therapy because they were trying not to love each other or see each other. And they didn't want to because of what people would think. But both of them started to talk about how much better it was for them to go and get treatment. And he talked so much in his book about how important it is for people to find somebody they can talk to, that they can bring out points that can help. So that kind of help is just as important as the cancer and the diabetes and all the rest.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell them. I'm helping you tell them.
Well, here's the thing. You don't have to be, as we say, crazy, bipolar nuts, or the girl whose elevator doesn't go all the way up to the top floor to check in on yourself mentally.
That's right.
And, here's the thing. We want to get to self-care and mindfulness and all of those wonderful tools before it's too late. And so this conference is designed to help enhance mental health and overall well-being. And so we have Candace Washington. She is the founder and CEO of Restorative Minds Therapeutic and Wellness Services. She is our keynote speaker. We have Minister Kelly Ware. She's going to be talking about personal wellness. We have Pamela R. Brown. She is the executive director of NAMI PG. She is going to be talking about how to overcome the stigma and seeking mental health support, and also how to help those in our circles that need mental health support. And lastly, we have Dr. Latasha Morgan, and she's from Alfred Street Baptist Church. And she's going to be helping us facilitate that safe space to share personal narratives of resilience and growth, because I believe that once we really deal with the power of the testimony, then that starts to really deal with that stigma that you were talking about.
That's exactly right. I noticed in your questions you have some partners that you've been working with.
Yes, we have some partners. We have two sponsors, and we have one sponsor, the Dashel Group, and we also have another partner, the Intelligent Tax Solutions. And so we are excited that they have partnered with us. There is still time for folks that want to partner with us and help sponsor the event. And we also have vending opportunities for those that are into products of health and wellness to set up a vendor booth to join us as well.
Well, we only have a couple of more minutes. Let's talk about why is it important to you personally to champion health and wellness, especially through her cause?
Well, I will say this, as a young mother, as a young wife, as a young entertainer, as a young woman in the church, I was everything to everybody, and I lost sight of who I was in the core, and I lost sight of how to heal myself. And so her cause is so important to me because we provide resources to help women with mental wellness. It always starts on the inside. It always starts in our mind. Who do we see ourselves as? How do we see ourselves as better women, as better sisters, as better career-driven women? And so we want to be able to provide resources for women to see themselves in a much better light and to diminish, eradicate the stigma surrounding mental health. You don't have to be crazy to be able to be in a safe space to talk about it. And so we are providing, we have a mobile app to be on the look for. We have a training program to be on the look for, and we have a 5K that's coming up in September 20th. So if folks look for us on www.hercause.org, they can see all of the wonderful things that we have, our events, our resource pages, ways to sponsor, ways to partner, ways to volunteer, because we are a 501c3 organization.
Is there a phone number, or just tell them to go to the website?
Well, they can go to the website. It tells them everything that they need to know there. If they want to follow us on social media, they can find out.
And say that website.
That.
Say that website again.
Yes, ma'am. www.hercause.org.
All right. Thank you so much, Ayanna Blake, for being our guest today. I am so happy we were able to have this talk. And we hope that you will sign up to get a ticket. And when she get a copy of this show, she can send it out and let people listen to it, and hope that some of her partners even might want to use this show to help sell some tickets. Tell them the date again.
This is May 17, Saturday, May 17, and it is from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m., and they can find all of that information on our website, hercause.org.
All right. So glad to have talked to my friend, Ayanna Blake.
Yay.
She's an artist, playwright, podcaster, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate
All right,
you.
that does it for our show this week. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. Now we're going to go to our close.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.